Hello, everyone who is already in, and I hope that the sound will also reach to those who are still having their last sip of coffee. The show isn't over, and it's getting even better. I know. I have some secret information that I know that after lunch people get a little bit tired, but Professor Peeter from Tallinn University of Technology, or TalTech, has put together a great show with several people talking about the dilemma about open source versus commercial. If you remember, before the lunch, we actually had examples of different approaches, so that now a dedicated session on these topics from different countries and what to make of it, I'll leave Peter to explain as an intro and then to sum it up. So, Peter, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ain. Dear colleagues, welcome to the session number 3. And the session is about AI platforms, and we will discuss either open source or commercial platform is better, or they both have space in the world. Well, AI platforms, they are kind of integrated environments where you can test, develop, deploy different AI applications. So it's like a kind of regulated marketplace for AI tools management. We have a really nice panel today, 3 distinguished speakers, 2 from Leipzig, from Germany, Professor Toralf KIRSTEN and Daniel STEINBACH. And then we have from Netherlands, we have GROOT-LIPMAN from the Netherlands Cancer Institute. And we will start with Daniel. Daniel Steinbach. Daniel, please. Floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Peter. Yeah, that looks right. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for the honor. Today I will tell you or have a talk about medical devices and a new term for evidence medical devices. That's our approach to innovation in clinical AI with open source. So first of all, maybe some words about me. I'm a medical doctor, as many people before on the stage. But yeah, I just worked for 4 years as clinician, and then afterwards 5 years as researcher in clinical decision support, which is in other words clinical AI. And there's a newly founded department in our university hospital in Leipzig. It's called the Department for Clinical AI and Translational Medicine. My official rank is head of AI development. So let's dive into it. Open source is huge and probably bigger than you think. Some guys from Harvard found out that the market value is about $9 trillion. $9 trillion, yeah. So the annual global turnover in software, for comparison, is $500 billion. Yeah, so it's 16 times the annual global turnover of software. So for most of us, this is somehow counterintuitive, isn't it? We don't use so much open source, do we? So open source software is usually amped in closed source software. And this is one of the reasons why open source is so underestimated. So there are many good reasons for open source, but in the end, it just feels right. Why is that? Rutger Bregman, a Dutch historian, says these days that there's no evolutionary advantage to blushing. You want to keep something, you want to hide something, and then your face gets red. Why is that? Everybody can see it, right? So where's the advantage? Well, transparency is deeply human. It's our way to build trust. And when people trust each other, they cooperate. Yeah, they do more than they could alone. So I would say there is an advantage. It's called cooperation. And there are many good reasons for open source. It's transparent, it's cooperative, it's human. And the really important reason against it is that companies are worried to make no money with it. Well, I don't want to go too deep into this, but I want to show you some examples, some areas where open source is simply the better choice. And in short, these are the areas that only serve purely economic goals, meaning like the maximization of profits and on the free market. Yeah. You aim for social goals, then open source could be the better choice. And this is true especially for international research and AI. Here are some examples from universities who have great success with open source, and they develop and further develop these libraries. So what speaks against it? What speaks against to use open source medical devices? Well, in medical devices, we have high investment costs, really high, compared to other software companies. We have these liability issues. I don't know if you know the term German Angst. Yeah? It's the anxiety in Germany, and it's big. And there is interdisciplinary complexity. In the medical field, in the medical device field, you don't need only some software dudes. Yeah? You need physicians, you need health experts, and so on. And they all have to work together. It's somewhat more complex than many open source software projects are. So, but it's happening. There is open source, and there are open source medical devices. You could almost speak from a rising market. Well, that may be an overstatement, but well, there's one open source medical device so far, and it's called Tidepool. Tidepool is built out of a grassroots movement from diabetes patients, and they couldn't use their insulin pumps as they wish. So they did it on that self, like a do-it-yourself insulin pump, and you needed software for this. And there were many different projects, as it is usually done in open source. Yeah? And one of these projects, Tidepool, they decided to go the clearance way. And they got clearance 2023 as a Class 2 medical device with higher risk. And they put everything, they built open source, like the source code, the technical documentation, even the letters they wrote to the FDA in the US. They were published. And there's some MIT license. This means everybody can use it, even commercially. And this is reality. 2 months ago, the first company took this open source code and they built a for-profit product out of it. The second example I bring you today is AntiBioGo. It's an app from Doctors Without Borders. And they found out that in many regions of the world, it's really hard to find an expert in microbiology. You have these petri dishes, and you want to show, like, which antibiotic can I use and where are resistances. And you need an expert to interpret the images. So it's an opportunity for image classification, right? And they thought, we built an app, and we do it this task with an app. And they got the IVDD certification in May 2022. This was the last month the IVDD in Europe was active. After that, it was followed by the IVDR, which is more or less the same than the MDR for medical devices. And they're very comparable, so I took this here too. So they announced to do everything open source. So far, they published only the main algorithm, and they want to wait for clinical validation in 5 countries, I think, until they publish everything. Well, there are many other projects, but they have no certification and they don't try to get it. I mean, the world is big. Yeah? You don't need anywhere certification and so on. And even especially in third world countries, it's not that important. But well, all these projects have in common, they aim for social purposes. And as a state-funded department, we now do want to do things differently. And there's a special reason for this. And this reason didn't exist before. It's evidence in AI medical devices. And to understand this, we first have to look to AI in medicine and how they work together. 2.5 million years ago, there was an invention. Any clue? It's not fire control. This was 1 million years ago, probably. 2.5 million ago, the knife was invented. The knife. We had knives. So that's quite a lot of time, right? 250 years ago, the first melanoma, black skin cancer, was removed by a knife. The knife has evolved, right? It's very sharp and tiny things can do with a knife. And an electron microscope, you can do things. But actually, the knife 2.5 million years ago probably had done the job to get this thing out of your skin, right? So it's not the tool what brings progress in medicine. It's evidence. And you get evidence with clinical trials and studies and so on. It's not the tool. AI won't bring us progress in medicine. It's not the tool. So what do we have with evidence? And it's random, but why? AI in radiology, we have a lot of it. And there's a special reason for it, because it's the most established field in AI in medicine. It can use image classification. And this tool, image classification, is, 10 years ahead than other things, right? So there was the study. Thomas, you told about it this morning. And they did a review about all medical devices which you can buy in Europe. And it was published 2 months ago, but with data from 2023. And let's have a look into this in the spearhead of AI medical devices. First of all, you have to understand evidence levels. There are 6 in this study, and 1 and 2, they are lower levels. Yeah. You can achieve them pretty easy. It's retrospective data, and well, that's the easiest place to cheat and tweak numbers too. Yeah. So it's not that good evidence. Then you have level 3 and 4. This gets more clinical. Yeah. It's like what the doctor thinks is this picture cancer or not, and what is the follow-up? Yeah, what are therapeutic decisions? And you can do these studies without patients, which is good because you have many ethical things which can hinder you. And then there's the real evidence, patient outcomes. We want to heal patients. We want to get them better, that they have better health. And this is the real clinical evidence in medicine, patient outcomes. And then we have level 6. This is more theoretically. It's what you find out on level 5 per euro. So have a look into it. You see, there are 2 reviews actually, 2020 with 100 medical devices, and 2023 with 173 medical devices. And today I saw this morning you meant it's above 200 now, but well, the data is from 2023. And as you can see, in level 1 and 2, there are many studies. There are many studies. Everybody can say, yeah, we have evidence. But we know, the quality, level 1, level 2. Level 3 and level 4, it gets less. But, well, that's maybe enough to do low-risk things, like there's still a doctor who says this diagnosis is right, as we heard before. And then there's level 5. And level 5, we have 9 studies, and in 3 years, there was 1 additional study. 1 additional study. In all AI and radiology, all of it, 1 additional study in 3 years. And now I tell you, all 9 studies are from the same product. It's the same product. Well, there is an evidence gap. Yeah? We lack evidence. It's so promising, but it's clinical evidence we need. Well, that's the summary. So there's an urgent need for more clinical evidence. And one could certainly consider how to regulate it, with the market and so on. But that's not our task. We are scientists. And frankly speaking, generating evidence is much more our responsibility than the responsibility of the industry. And the challenge is to generate level 5 evidence. And for this, we not only need endurance, we need medical devices. And a few years ago, we asked ourselves, as scientists, could we not develop medical devices on our own? A medical device which is perfectly designed to generate evidence. And a new term was born. We need a for-evidence medical device. So what are the differences? This is a big table, but I will lead you through. So the goal is different. You don't want the maximum money, you want the maximum evidence. So the components are selected in a way that you get evidence out of it. It's the thing above all. For profit, it's only one component of many, which can have effect on sales. But maybe your money is more worth in pricing, marketing, in customer loyalty, network effects, vendor login. Yeah, you have to choose as company, where do I invest? Is evidence that which brings me more sales? Well, what are the requirements for evidence medical devices? It must be open. It's clear. It should be enable multi-center cooperation. You need reproducibility. You need validation, externally validation. Therefore, you need transparency. And you need a lot of things which a for-profit company don't like, because there are reasons against it, and there are good reasons, like competitive disadvantages, like protection of IP, of property rights of their product, right? So for evidence, the best solution is clearly open source. And this is only because the requirements, they need this, right? And for traditional manufacturers, not that many advantages. But well, first service business models arising, as I told you, with Tidepool. There are these business models with service maintenance and so on, and without protection of IP, right? They take what is open source and they do service about it. And I read that 50% of all the money in the IT sector in the health business is made with service and maintenance. So actually that should be enough money. So far, so good. To fill the term, the for evidence medical device, now I will hand over the microphone to Toralf and to have a look into our own project and our clinical decision support system, which we develop as a medical device. And yeah, he will show you more in detail. So far, my part. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for this inspiring talk.
Sit there?
Not yet.
Okay.
but don't go away yet.
Okay.
There are maybe time for a few questions for Daniel. Our rules today are similar to previous session, that we can have few questions for presenters, and then later we have panel all together. Mm-hmm. So are there any questions about? Yes, please.
Thank you for this great overview and definitely some new insights here. Sometimes for hospitals it can also be very difficult to do for evidence, because industry gets very nervous if you say, well, give me your algorithms and I'll run an independent study and I'll benchmark you head to head, because there's a lot of valuation to be lost, and it's a slow process with a lot of legal people, and then many people in hospital research think, I have to finish my PhD in 2 years, I'm not going further. How do we solve this issue?
Well, that's true. Yeah? And there is no the one solution, I think. Our way is to do everything on our own. This takes resources. This is very costful, right? And I think it's not only the money, it's not only the companies, it's the regulatory framework too, because it's very difficult to make studies with randomization, for example. Like you get a medical device product as a hospital and you wish to test it, right? So how you test it? Yeah, well, there is a scientific way to do this, and this means you take one half of the patients and they get the medical device and the other not, and then you compare, right? And this is not allowed. That's a problem. Yeah, and this is there are some, I think we must strengthen the point of view of hospitals to medical devices in a political thing, in a political view. But also we have to do what we can do on our own. And this is somewhat these medical devices we build on our own.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is another question.
Thank you. I think you had very good slides, some of which I thought I can copy, but they moved too fast. So good, very good data to quote, actually. But my question maybe is not in the right session, to be honest, because it's about the diagnostics. But I'm wondering that 80% of the AI that is currently in use is about imaging, and very little more. And I hear that the interest, in particular of clinicians, is about the diagnostics and the comparison and all these kind of things to do with the treatment or this patient pathway. But there is also a lot of technical work that the doctors do, which is time-consuming and boring and not interesting at all. If you would be in this decision-maker position, where I think that this technical work, for example, scheduling the night shifts or this type of things could be automated, and the AI could take into account a lot of different aspects. Could also save a lot of time, but it's probably not interesting. But how to encourage this part of the AI as well?
Well, that's an economic goal, right? You want to do things quicker and cheaper and without that many personnel at the same time, right?
Yeah, and save the staff time.
That's good, and we need this, and AI can help us there, I think. It's just for scientists not that cool, right? We want to do things better, and we want to heal illnesses which couldn't be healed before. So there are two parts in AI. And the one is do things smoother, do things faster. And there's the other thing, that AI can discover patterns we can't, and can bring us more quality, maybe. This is maybe the term, right? So different parts of innovation. And we focus on the last.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Daniel, once more. And now I have an honor to invite Professor Toralf KIRSTEN, another part of Leipzig team, to present the second part. Toralf, floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you first for the invitation and for the introduction, Peter. I'm very proud to present what we have developed over the last years. It's not the last year, but years. And it basically follows what Daniel already introduced to you. It's basically the for evidence medical device. And it's, as Daniel already introduced, a clinical decision support system. And this is one part we are working on in Leipzig. So I'm from the Leipzig University. Daniel is from the Leipzig Hospital, University Hospital. And we are collaborating very closely together, both working groups, research groups. And of course, to react on your question, it's not normal that the University Hospital has a research group or a research department, because normally hospitals cannot have that because it's very costly, it's very cost intensive. And normally they take what is on the market. And we would like to provide a system that we develop not only by our own, and we would like to provide that to the, let's say, public. And there are some burdens of course, and I would like to report about that in the following minutes. So it's about clinical decision supporting. And of course, the reason why we do that is about patient safety, basically. The patients are in the hospital, and you want to be sure, as a clinician, that the patient safety is as most fulfilled as possible. And on the other hand, you want to participate in all the diagnostic innovation at the same time, yeah? Because you do not stop the inventions, the innovations, but you want to participate all the innovations that are coming up. And if you have a look what is on the stage, then of course you have different guidelines, clinical guidelines that you as a clinician can follow or should follow. And of course, what we have also heard today and probably also yesterday, we were not here, is the AI. So machine learning, deep learning, all this kind of stuff, generative AI that came up over the last years. The if and else, the guideline-oriented is basically what we call algorithms. So as a computer science, my background is bioinformatician. I'm a bioinformatician from bioinformatics. So what we can implement very smoothly, very briefly, basically taking the clinical guidelines and just asking what is in the guideline, and then we can decide what the guideline provides for specific decisions. And this is what the AMPEL system is about. AMPEL is the German word for the traffic light. As you can see here, we have, and you probably know that, there are 3 different lights on the traffic light. Red for alarming, please stop, do not go to the street, it could be very dangerous. Yellow, something went wrong, you are very late. And green, go on. Yeah, nothing happens. Probably nothing happens to you if you crossing the street. So, and we take this also in-house. We develop the system in-house, and we also provide the system in-house in the Leipzig hospital. So we also heard about that the clinical decision support system or the AI tools should not replace the clinician. We have the same intention when we developed the AMPEL system. For us, this clinical decision support system is basically supporting tool as the telephone, as other kinds of tools that the clinicians already use for years. So not only now for 10 years or 20 years, but we used the stethoscope for, I don't know, 100 years maybe, I don't know, and other kinds of tools that are already available. So for us, it's very important that the clinician, the person, is in the middle and use what is there and what we can offer. Then Daniel already introduced the point of evidence, and this is what we have observed over, let's say, different years, and I got and get different, let's say, mails, messages from different vendors every day. Please have a look to our product. But if I have a look to the product, or if I have a look to the website at least, I do not see any more information about the product, the variability, the validity of a product. So we have currently around 10 to 12 models available. We also published everything that we have researched, so all the outcomes that we have observed, that we have achieved, all the results we have published. Of course, as a scientist, you need to publish, but this is a point that I miss for many companies. Of course, the main issue of the company is not to publish results, but it's a point of trust. If you see the results of different studies, of large studies, when you can also trust, okay, this has been really studied, and it's not studied with 10 or 20 people, patients, it's really studied with hundreds, maybe 500,000 of participants, yeah? And I really miss that. But of course, this is important for us as a researcher, and we have also observed different alarms. Not sure if this number good or bad. The more alarms you have, you also run in a kind of alarm fatigue, so that the people do not take care about the alarms you or your system provides. So we have alarms, but I can also show how good the alarm system is. One more point. I mean, it's a little bit advertisement, of course, but as far as we know, to the best of our knowledge, we are the only system in Germany that is from academic solution that is in practice in a hospital, working as a clinical decision support system, and we have this evidence available that we can show with our publications. And of course, we have some features, or the system has some features. We take the data that has been entered, and it's in real time. So if a clinician presses the enter button or save button, then the systems right away get the data and can analyze the data. And I will show you also a brief overview about the system architecture, but you can be sure that the data are in near time, not real time maybe, are delivered to the system and will be analyzed, and then the clinician can just briefly switch to the systems view and see what's going on with the patient. We also have traceable data streams, so we know where the data come from, and we also know how good the data are for sure. We have machine learning algorithms, we have evidenced patient safety, and of course we would like to implement our research results into the daily clinic, in the daily practice. And we would also publish the things that we have developed as open source. Just 1-2 slides about where we come from. So we started 2018, at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, with a research project together with a company. And the goal was that the company develops the CDSS, and then we can take over the CDSS, and the company will take care of all the administration and later on, yeah, and maybe the company can also sell the product to other clinics and so on. But I don't want to go too much into the detail. At the end of the project, normally the project runs 3 years in Germany, research projects. At the end of the project, we sit together with the company and ask, okay, what is the next step? It's a research project and it has been used in the clinic so far. What would be the next step? Because the research project is over, how we can sustain the product over the next years. And the company, the first point that I learned, the company was not certified to create medical products. And we don't want to be certified. So the strategy was quite clear. If the company will not be certified, or the company will not let themselves certify, then we cannot go with this company in the future, and we need to develop the product either with another company again or by ourselves. Then I also realized that the company was very specific in their developments for a very specific EHR system that we use in-house in Leipzig hospital. And now it turned out that this system should be exchanged by another one. So there is no warranty anymore for this SAP system, as you're probably not sure if anybody use this system too. So that means also if it's very tightly integrated in the system, you also need to replace the system, the CDSS system, somehow. Yeah. So the decision was also to loosely couple the system with the EHR system, so that we are not depend on the EHR system anymore. And we have some also we would like also to integrate some AI stuff, which is very strange or difficult to implement in such a large EHR system, because normally vendor of the EHR system let you not directly develop inside the system, because which is very closed and you need to use the interfaces that they offer. And you are very small. You are just one customer. You do not you do not play a big role in that. So therefore, we decided to create a version 2 of a clinical decision support system by ourselves, because we also spoke with other companies, and it always turned out either, in my opinion, the risk was too high for them to take over the source code and develop it from, or to continue to develop that, or they want to sell their product by themselves. So they have an own product, and they want to sell the product by themselves first. And so our strategy was to develop the CDSS again by ourselves. And the major point for us was also to be independent from a company, and also have a right to do some research with a product, and also to publish results, so that we have, so that we can achieve all the results that we want to have, and also to have this evidence that we would like to generate. And this is also what we would like to publish. So we would like to respect the medical device regulations. We are based on open source, and we would like to provide our solution open source. I will come back to it later. There is support for rule-based approaches, for AI-based approaches as well. We have different data source platforms that we support in the CDSS, and of course all the, let's say, non-functional requirements are true as well. Here, a very short overview about the system architecture. On the left-hand side, you see the data sources. When we use Kafka, publicly available library, software library that you can use for data streams. So they take the data out of a system, out of the EHR system, and bring the data directly to the algorithms, to the models that we are using. And as you can see, there's also loosely coupled integration of our system, the platform that we are using, and the algorithms. We can add any kind of algorithms at the end. There should be also, where the algorithms or the model should only fulfill the interface, and then we can deliver the data directly to the models and the algorithms, and then everything is working well. Of course, there is a visualization front end, and there are other kinds of notifications, and so that the clinicians will be informed about if something goes wrong. I do not go into the detail because time is running. We use, as I said, the Apache Kafka framework for that, to have different data streams. We also had a look on the FHIR standard. We would like to model that the data very near to the FHIR standard, so that we are also able to, let's say, have an interoperability with other systems as well. One more point is that we set on a staging area where we where we get the data from. So all the data are normally delivered to the staging area in a large data warehouse, which is more or less common. in large hospitals where a data warehouse is already available, and then we can take all the data out of that, so we have a common interface to all the source systems as well. We have different AMPEL models, and algorithms that take place at the end of the platform, so that the data will be delivered to all the algorithms and models. Currently, we have interfaces for Java and R and Python, and if we see there's the necessity to support more programming, then we can also simplify add that to the platform. There is one more point is about the alarming, the notification of the clinicians. We support different ways to do that. There is a visual alarm, basically the user interface, so that the clinician can basically jump from the EHR interface to the interface that we provide, so that it delivers all the details about what the algorithm has computed. We also provide phone support when we see there is an alarming major alarm, then we can also phone the clinicians on their stations. We also can send some emails and so on. And one more point about the alarm fatigue is also that we can suppress the alarms. So if we see there is say a wrong alarm, then we can also suppress it. So there's no more alarm anymore. Here is something about the visualization. You see basically the station overview. We have heard in the morning the poor interface. We need to live with that, so we cannot change the EHR system by ourselves. But what we can do is basically to provide the information that the clinical support system or the algorithms and models provide. We can show that in a very kind way. One more point according to the MDR, the Medical Device Regulation. We would like to support all algorithms which have a direct impact on the physician's decision. And normally, if you inform a clinician about the current state of a patient, and the clinician decides upon that, on your information, then all this kind of information is basically a medical device. So these algorithms, these models are basically devices, medical devices, and we should really take care about that. And that means 2 points. One is, of course, the documentation, the education of the clinicians. You need to provide some, as you have seen, the videos or what kind of ever you provide the education, and you need to do some, let's say, basic stuff that computer science already is doing. So all the integration tests, functional tests, according to the software, that is showing that the software is doing what it should do. And this is not only true for the platform, but also for all the models that we are using, for all the algorithms that we are developing, but that are directly included in the system. And we also very closely cooperate with QM department, which is part of our hospital. Of course, every hospital should have such a department. It's quality management, and we built a quality management system about that. And we collaborate with them in building all the necessary documentation that is required to fulfill the medical device conformity, the in-house conformity. And of course, there are different more partners available that have or that bring in all the expertise that is currently missing in our department. So we have the AMPEL concept, which is basically has 3 parts: the input, that we take the data directly from the source system, from the EHR system, or the other kind of systems that we have running in our hospital. Then we compute the data, and then we output some decision support information, but we do not decide anything. We only recommend something. We give some more information about what we have computed, and we also try to explain in which way we have computed that. So that it's quite easy to understand, and it's easy. It might be easy for the clinician to decide upon that. And then we try to follow the in-house medical device. So we do not currently follow to certify that. It is very costly for sure, but for an in-house medical device, you need to fulfill all the documentation, and that's it. For sure, all the software tests and so on. And we have real-time access to all the clinical data. And one more point that is important for us, we can customize the software as we want. So if something that comes from the clinicians and they say, okay, we need this and that, we can implement it very quickly by ourselves. So we have different studies also according to the clinical decisions in patient care. So Daniel already introduced that there are randomized controlled studies that you can carry out, and which is not as easy as it sounds. For sure, we are always in contact with the ethics committee to find a way how we can do that. In particular, when there is an intervention. Today in the morning, we also heard that in other parts or in other locations, they do a blind study so that they provide the information, but they blind the information that is shown to the clinician so that the clinician is not biased with the system. We also want to do that in that way. We have a user interface for that available. We do all the kind of data collection in real time, we are with that able to run the studies by ourselves and to generate the evidence. Just one example, I told you in the beginning that we have 10 to 12 models already available and are already included in the system. One is the refeeding syndrome. Refeeding syndrome is about if you haven't, or if a patient did not eat too much, or maybe nothing, and then he or she eats a lot of that, then there is a danger that that could lead to the death. It's not very often the case, but it could be, and it needs to be detected by the clinicians themselves in the daily routine. And you need to ask patients about that, and patients also need to communicate that or communicate the truth to the clinician, so that it can be detected by the clinician. So we have seen that the 26% are already detected by the clinician. Our system, or with this model, we can discover 42% more. And there is also a rate of around 1/3 where we alarm in the wrong way. For this refeeding syndrome, or for this model, we use only a small set of data that is collected in the routine. So electrolytes from the laboratory. And then we do some, we collect some data to extract some patients from the dialysis, for example, patients with transfusions, with reduced food intake, and we take the data from different systems as well, and can then provide the information to the clinicians if there's a refeeding syndrome potentially available for this patient or not. So our current solution for the evidence in-house based medical device is basically we created the system, the platform with some of the models available. We have quick development so that if something happened, if there are new requirements occur, then we can react very briefly. That might bring us to high innovation also. when there is a direct translation from the research to the patient care, because we develop that and we can bring it directly to the patient care service, to the bedside. There is, of course, a function available between the research and the routine care, and we can fully customize that, the solution, as we want it or as it, the clinicians want to have it. But this in-house medical device disallow, we cannot place our product on the market because it's not certified. It's a medical device, but it's we need to, if we want to place it to the market, then we need to certify that. And this is probably not the thing that we can bring up because it's so costly. And we can open source different parts of the platform, and we also want to do that, but we cannot bring that up as a whole product, because then we are not only the vendor, then we are also the deployer or the distributor, and we take over all the risk that could happen by other parties that use the product by themselves. That's a large burden for us, because we would like, as a researcher, you would like to provide everything that you have developed. So is AMPEL an open source medical device? No, it isn't. It's prohibited right now according to the medical device regulation. It's prohibited to share the in-house product as a whole. You cannot download that currently, but we will publish all our algorithms, all the models we are working on, all the core platform, everything that we develop, but in different parts. And if some of you want to use it, you can use it. But there should be let's say, a development part. You need to stick it together. Maybe you should also program the data feeding at the beginning and so on. And then you can make it by yourself. So this is our team, and with that, I'm at the end, and I'm free and open for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toralf, for presenting this very unusual, but I see well accepted approach. What is your business plan for the future?
Good question. So currently, we developed the system just for ourselves, in-house. This is one point, and then I just jumped over that because the time is over. We have a project already available where we try to understand what are the burdens and opportunities to transfer the solution to other hospitals. And you are not from Germany, but Leipzig is very near to Dresden, and we have a collaboration and a research project put together with Dresden University Hospital, and in that way we would like to research what is necessary to transfer the solution, and then of course it hopefully turns out that there is some way.
Thank you once more, Toralf. Now we will continue with Kevin GROOT-LIPMAN. I found out you are, Kevin, the technical physician, which is a very special profession. And yes, please, floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you. All right, thank you to the organization committee. Wonderful to be here and explain you a bit about what we use for deployment, how it's not really a platform, but mostly of a hybrid cloud solution, and most importantly, what clinical use cases that will facilitate. It's a bit also on the last session, it's what for kind of deployments we have. And to start, I don't really know this audience. I'm from artificial intelligence, bit of medicine, study technomedicine, and also the oncology. So I would like to ask you 3 clarifying questions so I know where in the presentation I have to give more emphasis on. So in terms of oncology, we're a nurse this morning in this oncology. Who is familiar with response evaluation, like RECIST criteria? 4 or 5 hands? All right. Who knows the difference between a classification AI model and a segmentation model? One more? All right. Private cloud versus public cloud? A lot. All right, perfect. And then let's start. We have a specific solution that we deployed. We worked on this for 4 years, so that's not an easy feat, together with a company, and that's immediately my disclosure, and we co-developed this. So there's no money going over between the hospital and the company, but we co-developed this, we give input, and they have the IP to commercialize it later. And then we retain the rights to use it for free. And currently there are many solutions already on the market. Many presentations go in it, hundreds of certified solutions. But if you're looking at tertiary care, so advanced cancer stage, where I'm coming from, there's actually not that many solutions. Together with that deployment issue that's talked about a lot, it's very hard, especially to do that yourself. And we opted in 2020-21. AI platforms were upcoming. People were talking about it. We had the experience with the first AI vendors. Should we opt for it? Then we made the decision not to opt for it for multiple reasons, but one big reason was that we also have a research facility, 40 to 50 PhD students researching AI, and we wanted to bridge this AI gap. So wonderful algorithms that would never reach the clinical impact if we wouldn't build sufficiently our infrastructure ourselves. And to show that infrastructure, I would like to introduce a use case with you. This is pleural mesothelioma. Patients that inhale a lot of asbestos are at risk for this cancer, a horrific disease, and it's very hard to measure. And that's problematic, because in the clinics, we're not interested in our hospital whether this is cancer or not, which would be classification. What we're interested in, we give chemotherapy, patients come back and ask the doctor, did I respond to the treatment? Is my tumor shrinking? And it changes over time, we have to measure. And that can be done with the RECIST criteria. So I'll go through it because I only saw 3 hands. And what we do normally in spherical lesions, we measure the diameter on the first scan. And then we try to find the same lesion in the next scan 6 weeks later and measure the diameter again. Does it grow by 20%? We call it progressive disease, have to stop the treatment. More than 30% reduction, we call the patient a responder, can continue. Everything in between is measurement error, stable disease. Patient can also continue, but we don't really know. Now coming back to pleural mesothelioma, and you are now all experts in RECIST, for a mental exercise, you have to pick a diameter here. You have to measure somewhere. And do you choose the red diameter? And then there was, yeah, for the online people as well, here, the blue diameter or the green diameter. Just to note, there are no wrong answers. 6 weeks later, we measure at the same spot again. And now, dependent where you chose to measure, you're telling the patient for the blue diameter, it's stable, you can continue the treatment. In the case of red or green, say no, grew way too much, progressive disease, you have to stop. And this is also how we run clinical trials. This is how drugs are getting to market. And you could say, well, Kevin, all good, but one diameter, one measurement is actually no measurement. What if you take a bunch of them and you average them out? It should converge to the true tumor growth. That's exactly what RECIST is. They take 6 of these measurements on different planes. And in a recent clinical study that we published, 2 investigators did this measurement and only agreed in 53% of the patients on their response. So can you imagine you have cancer, you go to the hospital, and the doctor tells you, doesn't work. If you go to the next oncologist, you can flip a coin and it says, but stable disease, you can continue. What we thought of as a solution back in 2021 is, what if we measure every pixel? Then we know the entire tumor volume, and there's no inter-observer variability anymore. And this has already been shown in literature that it works. The big, big problem, it takes 3 hours for a radiologist to measure the total tumor volume. Now, in the era of AI, that can be done without a minute if we train sufficient models. So I went to a lot of conferences, talked to a lot of people, and was able to include a data set of over 12,000 CT scans, of which we annotated over 1,000, coming from more than 100 hospitals worldwide. And we built a model that can automatically segment the entire tumor burden. And here on the left side, we go to all the CT slices, and it automatically delineates all the tumor pixels. And now we have one true volume over time that we can track. Now we run it on every 6 weeks, and we have very accurate insights into the tumor development of these patients. And you can see in 2D, the first 3 kind of look like each other, but already in 3D, you can see some growth here throughout the thoracic wall. And this should be progressive disease, and then we have to switch treatment. All right, infrastructure. So how do we deploy this? We tried deploying this first in our PACS, but we actually needed the diagnosis code of the patient, because we cannot send every CT scan there. It's a rare cancer. And we actually found that our electronic health record and our PACS system, those guys aren't friends. They don't go along. HL7, DICOM, a complete mess. So what we did together with this company is we built the data lakehouse, our hybrid cloud, a solution in the data center that is shielded from any other traffic. And we forward all data out of our hospital now automatically there, and we don't have silos anymore. Everything is there linked to that patient ID. And this took 3 years of hard work and solving a lot of problems, but it's incredibly powerful now. So prospectively now, every CT scan is going to our private cloud or hybrid cloud, and we check the patient ID. If that patient ID in the pathology results has mesothelioma, then we forward the CT scan automatically to our AI platform. AI is run, we have a tumor volume even before a radiologist or oncologist knows the patient was in the CT. And we deployed this half a year ago. We went live with the system. The first 3 months, incredibly messy. Missing CT scans, oncologists were very excited, but were calling, where's my AI volume? We fixed a lot of solutions because we can go back and forth. For example, we had feedback on Friday, we worked, and Tuesday we had a new release and deployed it. And then the quality of the AI, because AI can always make mistakes. It can also delineate tumor pixels that aren't actually tumor. But they don't have to be perfect. And here we have an overview. This is real-world data of a real patient. And here, every dot is a tumor volume by the AI. And this is also what we integrated in our electronic health record. So our oncologists don't have to leave their electronic health record. They can just click on the tab, give me the tumor volume, and then get this overview of their patient. And you can see here multiple treatments already of the patients that were started, and after every treatment, volume went down, but after a certain moment, you have to stop treatment or it's getting resistant, and it goes up again. And we let always an oncologist or radiologist verify the AI tumor volume. So over here in their EHR, you see here on the right side this unreviewed mark. This is a new scan from this morning. Oncologist opens it, clicks on Open in Viewer, and here we go to the next tab, still in electronic health records, and then they can hello. Or do I have to deactivate this? Is it not? Next slide. Yeah, yeah. I'm pressing. Perfect, one click, then this can start, please. Can I click? So they will see this in our electronic health records. I chose a case here that was kind of suboptimal. You see on the right side, for the people at home as well, the 845 milliliters that were detected by the AI. We see good segmentation, effusion was excluded, but here is a bit of atelectasis, so collapsed lung. Now you can remove it if you want. Some oncologists do it, some think, oh, I'm not going to bother. And then you see here the volume going down once you remove it. And we see a processing time of less than a minute that oncologists have to verify, change, and accept. And then once on the right side, once you click here on the verified button, you accept the segmentation as is, and it's getting a check mark in the overview for all other medical specialists. And this runs on the fly. So for the last 3 months, we had 100% of CT scans from patients with mesothelioma where within half an hour there was an AI volume available in the electronic health record. Then from another team that's also leveraging data lakehouse, that we call it, to leverage LLMs. And this is for a team, because we are a tertiary referral center, we get a lot of history of the patient. And a lot of administration for our oncologist. So what we're doing, we're leveraging large language models to go through all these PDFs, could be 50, 100 PDFs, and extract the information. So normally, this is what they all have to fill once a new patient's come in, and they have to go through these PDFs manually, look for notes, etc. And this system will automatically scan it. You can go to prepare consultation, again, still in your electronic health record. It will go through all the PDFs and fill this information. You still have to look on it. You still have to verify where you want. You're still responsible as a doctor, but this helps you with the administration. And you can also see the data sources where the LLM found certain phrases or to check for the most important information. Now, once you think this is correct, you can do autofill in HIX. HIX is our electronic health record, and it will be filled. And that's, we save 20 minutes now for oncologists in this pilot that's running now in the clinics. Second big one of our cancer center is multidisciplinary meetings. A lot of experts come together to discuss complicated cases. And here you can also prepare an MDT if you have to lead it. So it fetches all the multidisciplinary information of all systems now, because again, we have this data lakehouse where all information is available. And if you want to prepare a patient, it already fills most of the information of all the modalities. AI segmentations are embedded. You can toggle on lesion detection or not if you want to use it. And this is still also in pilot, but you can even ask the LLM certain questions about this patient, and it will look into the data. And we're now using foundation models, which is the next topic, to embed all our data, so the LLM can actually work it and fetch features from the different sources. My last use case is the lung cancer, and that's a bit more tricky than the mesothelioma, but also solves a much bigger issue, because lung cancer is much bigger. And again, a question here for the audience. You are now not an oncologist with RECIST, but radiologist. We have a patient with 2 lesions in the lungs. Over time, so 4 CT scans, which of these lesions do respond to the treatment that we gave? Did any lesion respond? So maybe by a show of hands, upper lesion, did it respond to treatment? 1, 2. Lower lesion, did it respond to treatment? Nobody. Okay. What we can do, we have new AI models that can also segment the lymph nodes, which are shown here in the purple that were infected actually, and the 2 lesions here in orange and blue. We can visualize it again in 3D, but now we have also to track these volumes over time. And that's a little bit more difficult, because you want to make sure you do this very accurately. Because if you plot the total volume, you would see something like this. So I saw 1 or 2 hands on responding. This is quite a response, a reduction of almost 1/3 of the volume. But if you look at what lesion is responding, you see mainly the lymph nodes, and indeed the orange and blue lesion, not so much. And this is, again, a question of visualization. So I showed this to the oncologist, and he says, this is worthless. Give me the plot per lesion. So you get this one, and now it becomes very interesting. So you see that the upper lesion, and there were 2 people that were right, indeed responded, almost half of the tumor volume, then became resistant and grew again. Our 3 lymph nodes basically here went to 0, but this second lesion here never responded. And it turned out it was a second primary, very unlucky for this patient. But they found out here in clinics way too late. And there was a lot of discussion about it, whether they should operate on it or whether it was a delayed response. And they also, surgeon, oncologist, radiologist all say this overview would have probably saved this patient some nasty side effects from a too late stage. This is something we're deploying now. It's in the pilot, not live as the mesothelioma, but I expect it within 2 months to be completely implemented in our hospital. So the take-home points here is that I think we are really ready for AI-driven care, but the fundamental issue was for us the infrastructure. And once we solved it, was 3-4 years of work in the data lakehouse, these AI adoptions and implementation was a relatively easy and smooth experience. We are now focusing on UX and UI, and you can see in the interface there are a lot of professionals always having a lot of thought about it and making sure it's as intuitive to the oncologist as we can make it. And deployment, you always run in messy stuff. For example, a technician scanned the thorax, this part, then found out it wasn't fully covering the tumor, so it scanned a little bit more, and those become 2 different scans. And then our selection algorithm took the lower one just by chance, and then you don't have your correct tumor volume. So that was these first 3 months that we had to figure out, all right, if there's a tiebreaker, there are 2 scans, either merge them or take the one with the most slices, because that covers the tumor volume. The deployment option, whether you have to opt for such a solution, there weren't a lot of resources for my hospital in here. And we're a relatively rich hospital, so we could spare this resources and also the implementation teams. For local hospitals, I'm not sure whether such a co-development is really feasible. Whether they can later buy this solution, that's up to every hospital. I'm just here to give a perspective on what we did. So with that, I would like to thank you for your attention and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Kevin, for another really great hands-on example. Are there any instant questions to Kevin right now? Or yes, please. And then we will continue with the panel.
Thanks. So, nice presentation, by the way, to start off with. One simple question, I guess, is you mentioned that you're co-developing, right, with KICO as an organization. Then are the models today, are they CE marks or are they developed in-house?
So the segmentation models are developed without help of KICO. So they're all internally from our 50 PhDs. So the mesothelioma I developed myself during my PhD. And then implemented it with the help of KICO. So the KICO is here doing the infrastructure.
So because they hold some of the IP you mentioned, right, for the product. So if they
for the infrastructure.
Oh, yeah,
so the data lakehouse that's built, it's their IP and free to use. And we hold the IP on the tumor segmentation model. So the mesothelioma and the lung. The LLM that is going through the PDFs, that's their product and they hold the IP.
Okay, clear. Thanks.
Thank you. Toralf and Daniel, please join us in the podium as well. So, gentlemen, really I learned a lot, and I actually see that you are the guys who could help me. My today's challenge is that I'm working in university as a digital health professor. And I'm also working in the municipal hospital, 500 beds, as a research director. And you guess what doctors are asking me? You know, there are hundreds of AI tools out. Why don't we use it? You are, university man, you are research man. Well, tell us what to use. For instance, last week I were introduced to 4 different medical scribes. Just please take them, let your doctors use. So what is your advice to me? Should I go, and I heard that you really have done great work in-house, with your doctors, with your, should I go with like a research approach, having kind of platform in my hospital where we could test different, image recognition, medical scribes, different apps, or should I invest hospital money to Microsoft, asking to, or Google, or some, there are several platforms, several tens of platforms, and ask them to help me in this decision?
Yeah, difficult question for sure. And we also had this question from our steering board. Because if you decide yourself to have an own development department, and you want to develop a tool, or let's say a clinical decision support tool by yourself, then it does not only cost money, because you need to invest money in the staff, in having some developers available, but it also costs time. because if you do not have the platform already available as a research product from any kind of research project available, then you need to develop the platform by yourself. So it would be, of course, a good choice to have a temporary solution. If you decide you want to do it by yourself, you can also say temporarily you have a product from any company, you test the product by yourself. Of course, the question is according to the trustness always, and then you can bridge the time until you have your product available. If there is another product available, and let's say an open source product, then you could try to use it, and we're currently studying that, how to do that, because the transfer of such an open source tool is not as easy as a normal, let's say we have seen there are databases and so on available, open source databases, which is a little bit more easier because there is no regulation in that. But for the medical device, there are regulations, and then you need also to take care about that. That would be one choice.
Thank you.
To bridge the time.
Daniel, from clinician's point of view, can you wait for this long journey what Toralf now introduced, or would you like to have tomorrow the tool? What would be your choice?
I think if you do want the early adopter thing, you should know your stuff, right? You should know what you're doing. And this means you need experts in this field. For example, if you do some radiology thing, which is very innovative, and you do that, that's the topic of your PhD, right? Then you're the expert. You can say, well, this is the way, I trust it. And then you can be an early adopter. But otherwise, I can't recommend it so far, because most of AI medical device products have no clinical evidence. And as far as they don't have any evidence, everything is just a slogan. And you have a lot of, like we've heard it before today, the change management. You need many, many resources to do change. And for a product who couldn't give you any evidence so far, this is not worth the money.
Thank you.
I fully concur. I think as a hospital, it's very important that you think about and decide what your role is going to be in the AI adoption. We are still very, very early. And if you want to be an early adopter or front runner, you have to have the resources and also the expertise, so you can evaluate these claims of commercial parties. Because if you haven't worked with AI evaluation yourself, it's very hard to spot mistakes that will lead to disaster once you implement it. And I think maybe on European, but definitely on national level, I think we should mark certain hospitals as front runners, and then make sure that those hospitals also take the responsibility to look out for the local hospitals and provide this evidence.
Actually, you introduced my next question, and I would look at the audience as well, that perhaps like a hospital, it's not the duty of one hospital or even the responsibility of one hospital, but we started in Estonia a nationwide health information system 20 years ago without any evidence, but we put together all the forces and it turned out to be very, very successful. Maybe there is room for like a joint national platform for AI testing development. Any comments from or experience from Sweden, Germany, other countries, or Estonia? Are we ready for this kind of cooperation?
Maybe as a small remark in between. So I've always tried to benchmark these industry and their softwares and then get them head-to-head and publish it. And I tried it 3 years ago. None of the commercial partners wanted to join the study because they were all a bit afraid. We're running now one new study. Actually, only one industry partner now said, no, I'm not sure if I joined. The rest was enthusiastic to join because the industry also now realized like the hype cycle is for some part over or declining, and they need scientific evidence to show that they're actually contributing something. So I think there's a turning point going on here.
Oh. Janus, please.
I just wanted to ask, I think I read somebody, or Thomas shared with me, that there is, for example, some hardware providers, equipment providers who already are actually providing the software like a platform. They include different solutions on their platform with interpretation. I think one Chinese company actually claimed that they have like 70 different AI tools actually on the platform. Can you comment on this?
We've evaluated it. We don't think some of the solutions they provide are relevant for our oncologic hospital. That's one. And you also introduce an additional layer of complexity, which means the algorithm of the AI provider, the vendor, has to deploy it with the platform divider. And then if something goes wrong, you always have to go through 2 hoops. I'm also in the integrating the healthcare enterprise committees where these industry partners are also discussing. And this is a huge problem that, for example, if I have a new modality and it has new DICOM tags in the image, then I send it to the platform, runs smoothly, is accepted, but then the AI solution doesn't know what to do with these tags. And the AI vendor itself has no way to get back to the hospital to say, well, fix these tags, otherwise it's not being accepted. You get a lot of frustration of hospitals, and that's actually what I see throughout as early feedback. But again, we are very early. The early adopters have to work together with these platform providers and the AI vendors behind it to solve these issues, I think, before it's ready for local hospitals to onboard it.
Maybe an additional comment to this. Platforms are known for entification. I don't know if you know the term, but it's what Amazon does. You want to share it, that everybody is happy, everybody joined the platform, and then you start to turn things so that you can make money with it, right? So a platform, as long as it is not fully transparent and maybe open source, but at least independent, should be evaluated very critically. Because at the start, platforms are new, shiny, and a good thing, and everybody loves them. But especially in the health sector, you plan for 5, 10, 15 years, right? You use software very long. And then if you had done this one decision for this one platform at one moment, maybe you will regret it.
Yeah, and as a radiologist, then we see these kind of platforms in radiology a lot today in the market. But this leads me to the question: should I make a front payment to Siemens, Bayer, whoever, acquire this platform to the hospital, and then start to use different apps? This is really valuable information, what you say about the hiccups with current solutions. Or, as we do now, we just take one by one. We take one algorithm, try it, take another. We have applied one of the softwares to find stroke patient findings called Rapid for the whole country. So it's applied for the whole country, but it's very few still. So it seems that there is no mature answer yet. But this is good because as one of the previous or actually today's first session ended up with a question, will we talk about AI after 4 years as well? Then I'm sure that we will. So gentlemen, thank you very much for this session. It was really enlightening. Thank you for the audience for listening and nice questions. And with this, we can close our panel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And special thanks goes to Peter for perfect timing. Yes, now it is time to stretch. This is about health, meaning that if you need some coffee, it's waiting outside for you. Don't run away. There will be keynote speaking, and there will be also interesting session in the end. But otherwise, stretch, walk around, get a glass of water, cup of coffee, tea, and then come back in 4:30.